What'd you think of Austin Bryant? They just signed him from Detroit. They lost a lot of snaps when they lost Ebukam and Amenahue and Willis. And so, wasn't gonna be like, oh, one guy's going to come in and replace them.
Right.
What did you think of the Bryant signing, the Farrell signing, and we were talking before we went live. I mean, there's a lot of big name edge rushers, difference making guys out there. There's veterans, there's young guys, there's guys who, in the past have commanded a lot of money. Do the Niners have one big free agent signing in them, maybe for another edge rusher? And what did you think of Austin Bryant?
Yeah, I mean, as far as Austin Bryant goes, I mean, I reached out to a couple friends that are Lions guys. One of them's a really good friend of mine. He played college football himself, and he said he gave me 3 bullet points. He said,
Hurt, probably.
he said injury prone. What did he say? He said injury prone. It basically was 3 bullet points. That was like, I'm happy to get rid of this guy. Essentially, is what he said.
Was good against
and then
Buffalo
I reached out
or
to
something like that, right? It was
yeah. Then I reached out to a Lions content creator, and he said that he flashed really well in the Bills game, but he also had a really bad penalty at the end of the game. He saw the development in his pass rush, no doubt about it, but also said, the injury history is there. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. As far as Farrell goes, I don't mind the pickup. I look at Farrell much like I look at Solomon Thomas, and the Raiders tried to take that reclamation project and turn it into something, and we're trying to do the same thing right back. But if we're looking at Bryant and what I would do there, I would have much rather just brought back Jordan Willis, who I'm very comfortable with. So
faster. He's way faster.
yeah. So that, that's just me personally. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they need bodies. They 100% they need bodies in camp. So just because these guys are on the team doesn't mean they're going to stay on the team. Depends on who else they're going to sign. And I do feel like the 49ers have something up their sleeve. They've got money they can free up. I mean, really at the blink of an eye, there's players out there to be had. It would be nice to bring in a veteran edge rusher that I feel like they can dress, because if they go in the draft and they draft somebody, let's say round 3, round 4, that's cool. And maybe Drake Jackson can make that leap, but there's just not a lot I feel good about once Bosa and Jackson are off the field. And the 49ers really like to rotate their defensive line throughout the season. I mean, there's times where none of the starters are on the field and they got 4 fresh guys out there. I don't feel real good about the guys that are coming in behind them right now.
Well, let's talk about who's out there in the free agent market. It's a limited list. There's a bunch of guys who have signed. I mentioned early in the process before the whole thing started that I kind of like Zach Allen. He went from Arizona to Denver for big money,
Yeah,
$15 million a year. Arden Key jumped. Those talk that maybe the Niners would have some interest in Arden Key. He went from Jacksonville to Tennessee. He also got big money. There was some report that they had interest in Ogbonia Okoronkwo. He went from Houston to Cleveland. And of course, we all know that Amenahue and Willis and Ebukam all bolted. Amenahue to Kansas City. I think one guy went to the Colts, right? And then Willis went to the Raiders. So I'm looking at the list of who's left. So I thought maybe Solomon Thomas would come here. He re-signed with the Jets. But here's who's Justin Hollins just re-signed with Green Bay this afternoon. But as far as who's available, Leonard Floyd, Frank Clark, Robert Quinn, Yannick Ngakoue, Jadeveon Clowney, and then inside guys like Ioannidis, Ashawn Robinson, but Marcus Golden, another edge rusher, Poona
Houston should be
Ford.
out there, yeah.
What's that?
Justin Houston, he should be out there.
Justin Houston. Who else? Melvin Ingram, Justin Houston, Carlos Dunlap, who's a veteran, Anthony Barr, Kerry Hyder, of course, is yet to make his decision. Jason Pierre-Paul, Kentavious Street, who I really like Kentavious Street. I'd consider bringing him back because he's just so incredibly strong and versatile. And that's probably the whole list. I mean, there's a couple guys further down the list. Jannard Avery, yeah, I think is interesting. He played in Tampa last year. He's 27. I think he might be a good, cheap defensive end. But I mean, they definitely could use, whether it's in the draft or in free agency, they definitely need at least, I would say, 2 or 3 more defensive lineman rushers. And it's just, how many do you want to invest in the draft? I mean, they have 11 picks. They don't have that many needs. Heck, they could take 4 or 5 edge rushers in the draft if they wanted to. But it would be nice to get a proven guy. I mean, is there, of that group, which guy do you prefer?
I mean, my offseason plan 3 weeks ago was go get 2 veteran guys. Go get Quinn, go get Houston, and hope that one of them pans out. Quinn 2 years ago was coming off of 18 and a half sacks. Last year, Houston was coming off of 9.5. You take 2 veterans like that, you're going to have flexibility. You put them on a 1-year deal. I mean, then you can kind of remix again next year. But really, 2 of the 4, you also named Pierre Paul and you also named Melvin Ingram.
Yeah.
You get
Because
2 of any
the
of those
older
4.
division.
Yeah. I mean, you get 2 of any of those 4, I'm fine. I'm fine with any of them because I feel like in a limited role that all of them can get after the quarterback. They're in a heavy rotation, so they're not expected to do, starter snaps. You're talking about maybe 35-40% of the snaps. I'm fine with that. Any 2 of the 4, I'm good with on 1-year deals.
Yeah, I am too. And here's the thing. Do you wait until little time passes? Because you might be able to get, the 49ers are going to be in the short conversation for Super Bowl contenders. If a guy watches the draft, he's a veteran player, it gets to May and he doesn't have a team, and he's like, I want to win a Super Bowl. Everybody's got basically the same amount of money or offering the same kind of thing. I think the Niners might be able to clean up right there if they leave themselves just a minimal amount of cap room, because look at the discussion in the NFC. It's going to be a Niner, Eagle, Lion discussion. I don't know. I mean, it's like, that's from what I'm looking at. Maybe Seattle, I guess they had some massive draft in April again.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Niners are undoubtedly a playoff team, and maybe and a lot of people's chic pick to go to the Super Bowl. So maybe they could capitalize on that positioning by getting like a Fowler or Pierre Paul. I mean, Pierre Paul opposite Bosa might have double digit sacks.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
he
But
might be
I
an
could see
incredible
Houston
kid.
or Quinn also.
Yeah. I mean, Houston is, I mean, they're all about the same age, 33, 34, Ingram, just that veteran guy would be nice off the edge.